Hey guys, welcome back to Outside the Box with Lala. How are you guys doing? Yes, guys, we are on part 2 with crime in our black community. Yes, guys, sorry for the delay, but please join in on this incredible conversation. The conversation got a little intense, but hey, my guest speakers have so much to say, and we actually break down some of the situation that's going on in our community. Also trying to figure out what type of solution can we be able to resolve this. Welcome back to Outside the Box with Lala. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome back, y'all.
And this may not be a very popular opinion, but I don't see this getting any better. And quite frankly, I don't think it is going to get any better because our people are hard-headed and we stiff-necked and we don't know how to humble ourselves, and we keep looking to man for answers instead of looking to God. And so, it's a very unpopular opinion, but the fact of the matter is we've strayed so far away from, like Lamar was talking about, good teaching. We strayed so far away from morals. We strayed so far away from the commandments. We strayed so far away from God. And the only way to get back is that verse right there that I said earlier. And it's deep. It's a really deep-rooted issue. You know what I mean? The black on black crime, like I definitely feel what Lamar and Aaliyah was saying about the fact that it's not necessarily a thing. It's just crime, and it's just a way to put a negative stigma on black people, further that negative stigma. I definitely feel that. But like I said, man, I think it's very important that we all take a look in the mirror, which I had to do. You know what I mean? I took a while. I stepped away from community events and stuff for a while because I had to look in the mirror and really figure out what was my role in addressing the gun violence. You know what I mean? Like, what does God want for me to do individually? Because I think if I would charge anybody, you know what I mean, everybody online is what are we doing to be a solution? You know what I mean, to the issues and stuff that we're seeing in the community, because a lot of people got opinions. You know what I mean? We all got opinions. And I hear people talk all the time. You know what I mean? But a lot of us don't really have the boldness to step away from the bag. You know what I mean? To step away from the dollars, to step away from our own, trying to survive or whatever the case may be, in order to really address the issues that's going on. Because it takes sacrifice. Like, it really do, to address these issues that's going on. And I know Crystal know the struggle, you know what I mean, of leaving a job, you know what I mean, and trying to focus on, being a solution and whatnot. And so it's not easy, you know what I mean? But like I said, man, I really appreciate everything that was said on today. And I really just encourage everybody, like, figure out how we can really be a solution, you know what I mean? And yeah, I appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? So thank you for having me on. I'm sorry I couldn't stay on longer.
No, it's okay. Thank you, George. Actually, going to the question, I said, how do black on black crime affect our community and our culture? And you kind of speak on it. It's like we have to really come together, because it's like we really need each other. I feel like we really need each other. It doesn't even matter if you're African, Haitian, whatever. Black people, we need each other. We were once a family long time ago, and things happened and we was oppressed. But we shouldn't allow the enemy to separate us. And I feel like it do affect our community. It do affect our culture. The positive thing that come out of it is that I do see that some of us are getting back together, even though crime gonna always be there. But some of us are actually took the veil off, and we're recognizing who we are, and we're recognizing some people, want to really went to the whole ancestry DNA and trying to figure out who they are. So it is some positive. It is some positivity out there that people are trying to search. It's no more ignorance of saying like, oh, you Black, you this, it's like, I feel like our eyes, even though some of us are still, affected by the colonial way of thinking, slave mentality, some of us are actually awake and seeing that, who we are, and really appreciating us being Black and being proud of it, because I felt like the whole thing that happened with George Floyd actually opened a lot of people's eyes. And I feel like it did bring our community closer to one another, because people realizing like, if this one's against me or this one against me, we have to be for each other. Because if we're not for each other, then, we're not getting nowhere. I just feel like we need more positivity like that. And especially when it comes to our younger generation, some of them are still cuckoo for Cocoa Puff out here doing reckless stuff. And I'm praying that they do wake up and they realize that, listen, like, this world don't love you. So if you know what I mean? So if we don't love each other and we're taking each other out, but again, it has to be taught. Again, it has to be, we're so brainwashed by the world. And I'm just praying that we wake up as a whole, Do anybody else have anything to say? How do Black on Black, how do it affect our community and how do it affect our culture?
I don't feel like it's necessarily Black on Black crime. Like everybody was making a point of like poverty, putting all of us in the same neighborhood, knowing that we're all fighting for the same resources. It's not really that. It's Black on Black crime. It's that it's regular crime in the neighborhood. These are the regular things that go down in neighborhoods like this, because people are fighting for corners. People are fighting for their family. People are fighting to provide for their family. And it's like, I don't condone the no snitch rule, but it's like, supposing somebody that's outside selling drugs just trying to feed their family snitching on them. Like, bro, I didn't even do nothing wrong. You get what I'm saying? But that's also crime in the community, because on the other end of the stick, you serving my mom crack. So it's like, I can't really be okay with how you provide for your family. So it's like, poverty. It's essentially not having the things that we need and trying to find ways out of this rat cycle. It's a rat race. It's it's paycheck to paycheck. It's it's hard to get out of a cycle that we've been in for years. So when we ask, it's like we can continue to talk about Black on Black crime. We can continue to talk about crime, but let's essentially get down to the root of the issue. How do we create resources for Black people? How do we create our own farms? Let's talk about us all really. If you have 78 people, that you can have your own plot of land, and you can have your own laws, you can have your own rules. I think that we talk too much about it and we ain't really doing much. You get what I'm saying? How many conversations we gotta have like this before we actually start coming together? Okay, I'm gonna put up money for this. We gonna buy this plot of land. This is where we gonna grow all our food, because all these farm plants and all these things. It's really about to be a recession. Gas is expensive. Food is expensive.
It's probably a recession, girl. It's here.
But that's what I'm saying. This recession comes time after time after time. Yes.
I don't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to ask you a question and get your perspective on it. How before George left, he was talking about sacrifice. But how much can you ask a group of people to sacrifice that don't have anything left to give? Right. You know what I mean? We've been through so much, right? I don't care what shade of color you are. I'm talking about from the lightest person, the lightest skin color a Black person can be, to the darkest that a Black person can be, right? Because Larissa and Crystal said, we got to stick together. And I completely agree. How can I not agree with them, right? But we go through so much on our daily lives, right? And I agree with you when you said 78 people can create a village. And I 100% agree. But who's going to step up and say, you know what, even though I don't have nothing, I don't have no money, I don't have nowhere to live, I don't know where I'm gonna get my next meal from, I'm still gonna sacrifice a little bit more. What people don't realize is, like, I think Black people, like our community, we don't big ourselves up enough with how much we've been through. Like, people don't understand, like, it's literally the weight of the world is on our shoulders. Like, we run the world. We really carry this world. Without Black people, there would be no one. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, in America, when I say Black people, African Americans in America, like how much more can we squeeze out of ourselves to say, you know what, this is what it's going to take to have something for ourselves, and who's going to do it? That's my question to you.
Yeah. It's us, not that we got to squeeze it out of each other. Let's go look for resources now. Let's start these rallies. Let's start, donations. It's a lot of white people. The way you said it's a whole bunch of more white people in Philadelphia. Let's go to South Philly. Let's go to the areas that they in. Let's demand the things that we actually need. It's going to be some people that do want to support. It might be slow at times. But you just got to find the areas. You got to find the resources. You got to find the people like us that's willing to take a little bit of what we don't have to sacrifice to create more. You get what I'm saying?
Verbatim, what you say is true. That's why I don't know if you guys know, I have a nonprofit, and my nonprofit is that we help out the homeless community, and it's called You Are Not Forgotten. And it's something I started because I believe that God is real and He speaks to us. Nobody helped me start this. I started this by myself. Ask Crystal, ask Mercedes, ask Jasmine. They were all there for my nonprofit. Who did we help? We helped North Philadelphia. We helped Southwest. We helped Kensington. We helped all around the city of Philadelphia. And it's something small, but it's actually a lot of people that we help. We help them with clothes. We help them with food. We help them, and it's not about talking about it. It's about doing it. And it was hard. It was a lot of pressure. I cried a lot, and I did a lot. But I thank God, because if little old me can do it, imagine if we partner up. You know what I mean? Imagine how much of a difference that can be. And I don't even have money, okay? But the will of God, He made it a way.
He provided. There you go.
He provide. So imagine those who do have money and, are able to help. But if they don't help their community, then we're always going to be oppressed. We can never get ahead. Poverty will always be here. So I just want to put it out there. It's not that we don't know, because we're smart enough. If God gives you the ability to think it and you can do it, but it's hard, because if it's not if we don't partner up and we don't help each other out, we can't get ahead. And I just want to put that out there. Crystal, your hands up.
I forgot.
So yeah, I agree with both of you, Larissa and Zabeda. I don't want you to think that I disagree. I was just playing devil's advocate, just to get perspective.
This is what we're all here for. We're looking for different perspectives. We're looking for opinions. We're looking for just ways to figure out to make it work. Like you said, people are tired of sacrificing. What about the people that's still willing to do so? What about the people in these white neighborhoods that want to donate? It's a lot of things out there that we might not know they out there, so we go looking for them.
Yep.
But we gotta demand these things. I demand that you give me reparations, because I actually deserve it. So, it's all about you, how you carry yourself, and how you ask for these things. We actually gotta really come together, set a plan, set these goals, and then, do it. All right, we all gonna come together on this day. We gonna go down South Philly. We gonna go knock on these doors. Donate $1 to start this Black People Farm, or something. Whatever. But if you go out looking for resources, trust and believe you're gonna find something. You might not get it. You might get a freaking 100 no's before you get that one yes. But when you get that one yes, that motivates you to get the next one. So I feel like I do want to start maybe like an organization or something like this to get a plot of land, and then find people to donate for us to grow our own food. They've been destroying so many farms, so many of these food plants. There's so many ships docked. It's a lot of things that we're not about to be getting. Not just the minimum that we're receiving now, not just with the gas being super, super high, not just with the school going up right now. It's so many more issues that's coming out right now, along with the issues that we already got. People already still live paycheck to paycheck. We still struggling. And we about to be struggling more. So it's like, how do we create our own resources? Like, I want to grow some stuff. Look, I was about to say I want to grow some stuff.
I'm about to go to the next question. I said the next question is, how do fatherless homes affect our community, and those it play a role in, and how does it play a role in our community? So not having a father or living in a single parent house, how does that affect our community? How did that affect our children, growing up in a community? Because a lot of times they find role models or idols outside the community, and it could be people in the hood and selling drugs and doing this and that. So how is it like not having a father or not having a mother? How did that affect our community?
It affects it a lot. I'm gonna tell you, the original plan. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The original plan. If y'all know history, and that we have to educate ourselves. The start of welfare was to dismantle the Black family, and by dismantling that, we are now we're now exemplifying what they wanted it to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we break apart the family. So now it's all of these mothers raising women. There's all these mothers raising boys, and we can't do it alone. So what mom working 2 and 3 jobs, she's not really present in the home because she's trying to provide. And then you have the men going out here making other babies and leaving them, or also in the streets. And now you have these women and young men growing up without a father, without that stability, without the extra discipline. And happy Father's Day to the fathers who were on here, but it used to be a thing where the women used to be like, well, happy Father's Day to me too. No, you're not a father. You're a great mother, but you cannot. What you can show a young man, a father figure has to do that. Just like it is harder for single fathers to teach little girls because he's not a woman. But it goes the same way. There needs to be a structure in the home. That's the foundation. But I do know people who had father figures and still chose to do what it is they want to do. Going back to what he said about, you can lead the water to the horse, but you can't make them drink. Some of them just don't want to drink. Some of them just want to go out and be on the corner with their friends because they see somebody get the money, but they see dad at home struggling or mom at home struggling to pay the bills and this, that, and the third. And now you too far deep. And then now as a community, going with the point I wanted to make earlier is that in the community, we have now built up such a distrust for everybody, especially back home. We don't trust the cops, and we damn sure don't trust each other. So now we're just living in fear every day. And I just visited going back home, and it was something I was like, I wanted a cheesesteak. Oh God, I wanted a cheesesteak so bad. And it was nighttime. And I'm like, all right, Mom, I'm about to call and order a cheesesteak. You want some? She said, oh, I don't order after 8:30. And I was like, wait, what? She was like, because I would feel bad if somebody got hurt delivering food. Like, you have now altered your everyday normal life. You can't even sit in a car. Just normal little stuff because we are living in fear because we don't trust each other and we don't trust the cops to do anything. It's a never-ending cycle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like not having a father in the home is a major thing because it's like, again, it's the system, the way that the system works. And the system, well, first I was going to say welfare wasn't made for us. It was made for the white lower class, and then it's transitioned into Black people because it wasn't made. Any system that's ever made, it wasn't made for us. If it was made, it was to oppress us. But I was going to say that the way that the system works is they're trying to separate the father and the mothers from the children because it do take a village to raise a child. And that's why I feel like our youth is how they are because there's no respect. Most of the time when it's a mother and father, if the mother can't check you, the father will. You know, it's some kind of discipline there. If the uncle, you know, can't check you, the grandfather, it's some kind of role model. So it's designed in a way that is to corrupt our youth. It's designed in a way to make our youth more rebellious, and it worked because I think Charlie said earlier, like, you can't even tell a child, like, don't talk to your mom like that. The mom's ready to beat you up too. You know, and then if you don't have discipline, if you don't have foundation of set in the house to saying, you know, because in the word it tells us that if your parents discipline you, it's because they love you. I'm not talking about abuse. There's a difference.
Right,
If you correct a child, it's because you love them. I'm not talking about abuse. It's two different things. And I feel like that correction is the way that the system works. Is now it's like, oh, you're abusing the child. You know, or you're hurting the child. And yes, some people take it overboard, but without authority, or if you do not discipline your child, guess who discipline your children? The judges, until they kill your child. And I think that that's something that we have to know as a community, because we so quick to say, don't talk to my child like that. But if the cop killed your child because the child wasn't disciplined, it's a whole different situation. So we need to bring back some kind of structure in our youth. We need to bring back some kind of like, you know, yes, we talk like, you know, if you see a cop, you're supposed to don't act like this. So why can't it be like, when you see me, make sure you act right? You know, you could put fear. I don't even want to say fear, but you know, like, if I'll say that if God loves you, he's going to discipline. The way he disciplines you is like he takes things from you. He takes things to make you humble yourself. So why can't we humble our children in a way that they understand? Why do we always have to humble them when it comes to police officers, when it comes to the judges and different things? Why can't we humble them at home? Why can't your neighbor can say that, you know, today I saw your child doing something. You need to talk to your child, because if you don't, something might happen, without the neighbor saying, don't talk to me like that. Don't tell me how to raise my child. It's too much chaos with our community.
There's no more village
in our community, but it is part of our community, because you're seeing how these young children are raising their children, and now their children not even, if a child don't respect the parents, the child ain't gonna respect you on the street.
I think that we
want to put that out there. That's how I feel about, if there's no father, if there's no mother, there's nobody to correct this our youth. Because if they don't have correction, I feel like that's one of the reasons why they're dying so quickly as well.
I feel like essentially, you know, it was an agenda. Like you said, when it started, we're taking the Black fathers out the home. They pushed the single mother agenda, which it all just trickles down into how bad it's gotten. Back in the day, when it was the mother and the father in the home, you know, they had they other couple friends on the block, and this is where it took a village to raise a child, because the whole village was there. You get what I'm saying? It was the mother, it was the father, you know, so you had everybody on one accord, like, okay, you are allowed to reprimand my child. You are allowed to do such and such and such. Okay, they took the fathers out the home. Now we got the single mothers. Who can't allow nobody to say nothing to them, or you can't tell me nothing because I'm a single mom and I've been doing this for my own, and this and the third, which trickles down to now we don't no longer have the village, because the single mother is like, oh, it's just me. You created the single mother. This is who I am. This is what it is. So now the single mothers won't let nobody else help their kids, and you know the situation just gets worse and worse. So I feel like Black fathers are important in the home. Because when you don't have that role model, you know, boys have a hard time with emotions. You know, boys have a hard time with just a lot of things. I mean, the same as women. But you know, a boy really needs his father. So a boy really, the father really instills a lot of things. You know, like morals and values and stuff in their kid. And The mothers are, if it's a single mother in the home, she's doing everything. She doesn't have the time to really dedicate to take it out to figure out, how do I teach my son properly, because he's a male and I'm a female. We have two perspectives. So, yes, I think a father makes a big difference in a home because they don't have any role models. So that's my view on that.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I wanted to chime in. Me and my wife, we were talking and listening as well, because she's in the group chat with us as well. But I wanted to say that I think not having a father figure in the house, it's not that you need a man to raise a boy or a woman to raise a girl. I think it's very circumstantial. Like, to some of Zabeda's points, if you're, for example, say if all of us in this group chat were wealthy, right? But we were quote unquote single parents, you would not sweat any of the difficulties and struggles of taking care of that child. All you would focus on is that this child needs love, nurturing, and care. You understand what I'm saying? Wealthy people, if you can look this up, wealthy people do not stress about whether or not they have a partner in the home to take care of the child if they're making over $100,000 a year. So I think, like, the circumstances matter to the situation. And like I said, there are also exceptions to that rule, because yes, you can argue that, you have the son and he needs his father to teach him certain things. But I also think that a mom can do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, let's not gentrify these roles. Let's not say that, you know what I mean? Let's get out of that mindset. Women don't have to be in the house, clean, cook, and slave over a stove all day. There are women that are CEOs. There are women that run governments. There are women that, you know what I mean, multi-billion and millionaire dollar companies. And just, you know what I mean? We got to stop gentrifying those roles. Because if we're well off and we can take care of our children by ourselves, then there'd be no need for anything, and all the other hardships aren't as real as they seem. Like, me and my wife, of course we're going to have our children. It's going to be important that both of us are here together to take care of the child, but that's because we're married and we're, you know what I mean, we're okay. We're not wealthy, we're okay, but there's going to be struggles with taking care of our children. Now, if we were a little bit richer, some of those natural hardships would, you know what I mean, they wouldn't be as big as they seem. I'm not saying every parent doesn't struggle and that money solves every single problem. That's not what I'm saying. But we all know an extra dollar to help us smile a little bit more. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You get a little bit of change on the side. You're like, ooh, girl, ooh, boy, I can do this week. Look, I can afford to share this and do this. But I say all that to say, let's not gentrify the roles, because my dad wasn't always around. You know what I mean? Left at 4, came back when I was 15. I missed, like to Larissa's point, there were some, I want to say, teachings and things he could have taught me that would have helped me later on as a man. But I still got those lessons, you know what I mean, a different way. It just came through my mother. So maybe when she taught it to me with a little bit more love and a little bit more self-righteousness that a man that's super prideful wouldn't teach me with. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Lamar, I was gonna say that no, you're correct. I still do feel like we need a village, because, like, my sister, she has 3 kids. She has twins, and fraternity twins, and then she has a little daughter. And even with that, it I salute the women there. They are actually doing it, but you need a village, because you might not. That child can push you through so much pressure and so much stress that you need time to just chill. So you need it don't have to necessarily be a father. It can be a father figure or an uncle or whatever, but it needs somebody there to take the to understand. Because I feel like with single mothers, again, we had a YouTube about strong Black women. We're not going to be strong all the time. I hate that term, because it's like, because you think I'm a strong Black woman, you feel like I can deal with it all. No, that's not right. I still need help. And you're talking about a human being. A child is a human being with their own character, their own ways, and you have to be able to work it out, and it doesn't always happen. And I feel like you need a backup. You need a village. You need somebody behind you to support you. And I understand exactly what you're saying, Lamar. But you need that support system, because we're human beings. We cannot handle it by ourselves. And with my sister children, it take a whole village to just help, because she want to be stressed out one way, and then I might have to take over and understand a child a different way. And you're right. It's not even that we need you don't need a father or whatever, but you need a village to help with that child. And
right. But strong. But understand me. You are a strong black woman. Strong black woman doesn't mean independent.
Well, the way that the
you understand what I'm saying? I didn't say you have to do it by yourself.
No. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying that the statistic of the term is they just even look at how our system is set up. They automatically don't come to a black woman rescue or anything, because they just automatically believe that they're strong. I understand what you're saying, but I know what the term is, and we talked about the
generalization of the term.
Exactly, and it's very ugly, because I know I'm independent. I know I can, but I don't want the world to feel like, oh, because she's a black woman, she can handle it. That's you understand what I'm saying, Lamar? Like it's a, and I feel like when it comes to single black women, they do it on their own, and then people just think that, oh, it's just easy. It's not.
That they supposed to do it.
You still need somebody to help. You still need that support system, and it doesn't have to be automatically a male figure, but you need somebody there to help, because you're gonna go insane, and that's where mental health comes from.
Women, black women in particular, need to lay off of that strong thing. That's a trap. Because when you say words like strong black woman, it makes us superhuman, and it makes people think, oh, we can conquer anything, and it's almost like superhuman.
Yeah.
And so you have to be careful with that strong. You want to be strong, but that can't be your label, because that in and of itself will scare a man.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah, I wasn't saying that children don't need, I'm not saying that women don't need a supporting cast. A single father as well. Anybody that's taking care of any children would need a supporting cast. All I was just saying was that, independent, yes, black women, I get what you're saying. There's a stigma that black women, since they're strong, they can hold it together. Y'all don't have feelings or emotions, or don't cry at night. Struggles. I'm not saying that. But what I was just saying, I was saying relative to a wealthier person's situation. Because when wealthier rich people take care of their kids, or you hear the stories and they're like, she's a single mother, oh, she's so fantastic, she's taking care of 3 or 4 kids. Yeah, she can take care of 3 or 4 kids because she makes $2 million a month. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the village for them is the money, which helps create the other resources for them. So when I say strong, independent black women, I completely understand what you're saying. You're talking about the generalization of the term, which should definitely, it needs to be changed, because black women need to take their power back, because independent and strong are 2 different things. You know what I mean? You're strong. That don't mean you don't cry. That doesn't mean you don't go to this 9 to 5 every morning that you hate. It doesn't mean you don't need love, support, and help. But we just need to, I guess the black community needs to figure out a way to get that right. And then we can just, like my wife said, we internalize it and just make it powerful. You know what I mean?
I wanted to talk about the energy that male presence bring and female presence bring, because I haven't heard that. And I'm glad that a lot of people are identifying their own nuances and how they think about it. But I worked with girls at a residential facility, and my husband had some work with children that were male children. And we noticed when the staff would be opposite sex, it wouldn't take as much resistance to get the youth, to get on board. So I think just like the way women do things and how we operate, that's a gift. And God gave us that ability, and how we communicate is differently from a male. My husband can say something, these kids, I have an 18-year-old and I have a 10-year-old, and they will get it together. He only have to say it one time. Whereas me, I'm mom,
I have to say a couple times that my threats are not even taken as seriously as they were. So I just like to, highlight the energies that each sex brings. And it was a purpose and God's, vision for him to have both, sex or two people.
Great. All right. I'm going to go to the next one. Y'all doing good. It's going to be close to the last one. Okay. Should we continue the good fight and push the Black Lives Movement agenda when there's so much crime in our community? Should we push the good fight of Black Lives Movement?
It needs to be pushed if we can include the crime on each other into that as well. Because if we just going to keep talking about the cops, to which again, that's a topic to be talked about. Not playing either one, but Black Lives Matter, period. Whether it be cops killing us killing us, the hospitals killing Black women because we're not getting a proper care. Black people, period. All of that should be grouped into Black Lives Matter, period. That's it.
I don't think no Black lives matters any less whether it's a Black person that killed them or a white person that killed them. That's why I said the fake outrage, it needs to be here for everybody. Well, not for everybody, for all Black people. Whether they were killed, overdose because, they put these drugs in our neighborhoods, or, they were killed by a Black person, or whether a white person killed them. I feel like, let's rally every time. I feel like everybody, I feel like we need to speak out every time. It needs to not just be a neighborhood balloon release, and let's go public. Like, let's try to actually figure out how we can create more resources for kids, because let me just say this. It's kids as young as 12, 13 that's getting killed. Like my homeboy just got shot up 31 times. His 21st birthday was the day before his funeral, which I find is just like it behooves me, because it's so many lost teens out here. They don't really have the guidance. Like they're glorifying the street life. And they don't have nothing but the environment that's around them. You get what I'm saying? So all I see is this. All I hear is this. I don't want any more than what I have right here, because this is what it is. How do we create ways to help Black people see that other Black human lives matter too?
Yeah.
Like that's the question we got to start asking ourselves. I don't think we need to separate any Black issues. Like all Black lives matter. However they were killed or whatever happened. I feel like we just need to make more of an outrage rather than just when a white man kills a Black person, then when a Black person kills a Black person. Like, we need to be equally outraged, because this is insane.
Yeah, I agree. Does anybody else have anything to say about that?
I think it'll make a change once we start talking about self-love. I think that's where it starts a lot too, and with communication, because a lot of times we say we want change, we want this, and we want that, but I think it all starts with how we talk with one another. Like, I always tell people, you reveal your true self when you're upset. You get what I mean? Like, when you have the ability to speak and communicate with each other, I think it should be with nothing but love. Like, learn to love people regardless. You get what I mean? Whether you're upset, whether you're going through something, just regardless, like, learn to love people, because I think it all starts with communication. A lot of the things that transpire don't need to be transpired if it was a real conversation. And then when we talk about conversating or conversing with one another, it's like, are we doing it properly? Because a lot of times people say, oh, I try to talk, or I try to squash it, or I try to this and I try to that. But it's like, your way of communication ain't the right way. You get what I mean? And it's okay to take a step back and take accountability and say, how can I make the situation better? You get what I mean? I also think that, like I said, with taking accountability, it also stems from, let me say this. Somebody told me one day, you can't subject yourself or worry about how somebody treats you. That's none of your business. And at first, I know it sounds crazy because you're like, wait, what? Like, how somebody treats me is all my business, right? But it's not, because I think we get so wrapped up, or I want to say selfish in a way, with having our hands out and not enough to give to somebody else. You get what I mean? When you upset, sometimes we lose it and we do things out of rage or being upset. And then once you put that out there, that type of energy, it ain't no taking it back. You already done put that out there. You already did what you did. You know what I mean? So I think it just starts with self-love and what self-love means, and thinking about what you have to offer to somebody else, and not saying, oh, this is what I need, or this is how I need to be loved, or this is how I need to be talked to. What do you give to somebody else? You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to have somebody constantly pour into your cup and learn how to give back to somebody else. Because a lot of times I see certain things, and I'm the type of person, I sit back and I observe. And I'm just like, a lot of the stuff that take place, or just from conversations alone, is just crazy, because it's just like the way people assume that they're communicating properly or they're doing things in a good manner. I see it and I'm just like, you could have done that better. You get what I mean? And I think a lot of times, like I said, it stems from just being selfish, like always wanting something that you can't give back, or you don't know how to give back. And it's okay to say, you know what, I messed up. It's okay to say, this situation or that person may not be for me. But every situation doesn't have to turn sour because of something you don't agree with, something that hurt you, all of that. Like, I think self-love is a part of, being forgiving people. And I'm not saying that if somebody does something to you and you just feel like it's completely unforgivable, or if it's something that you can't work out and offer them a space back into your life, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, learn to forgive people, because at one point in time, we all have done things. We've all said things to somebody, done something at one point in time, and we sit back now, we internalize it, and we're like, damn, I wish I could take that back. But it's like, when you sit back and you think about the things that you have to offer, and I had to do this at one point in time, because I'm like, I'm asking people for a lot, those moments. But sometimes you have to sit back and just say, I'm going to love you regardless. You know what I mean? Because I want to be loved regardless. I want to be loved unconditionally. I want to be loved on good terms. You know what I mean? And
so, Shay, are you saying, and I didn't mean to cut you up, but so are you saying that when it comes to Black people, we have to treat each other with genuine love? Because obviously we don't, and I understand exactly what you're saying. We don't. For example, Black women are the one that's always targeted, even with our Black men. We're the ones that look, and it's like, how do you look down upon somebody that actually birthed you, or that look like somebody that birthed you? You know what I mean? So I understand what you mean. Like, sometimes and I feel like we are hard on one another. We are.
Especially women.
Especially women, because it's like, we already oppressed by the world, and then here it is that we're being oppressed by our own people. Yeah. And you're right. We need to give out love. We need to give out, like, just tenderness and care, and you're absolutely right. It starts from love. It starts from love. So
I definitely just think that, because a lot of times, a lot of situations turn sour just based off of selfishness and just not communicating properly. Like, I've done it. I'm guilty of it. You know what I mean? Like, the first time you get upset, things go sour. When you sit back and you internalize that, you're like, it didn't have to go left. You get what I mean? It's okay to be upset. And I think that once we start realizing it's okay to be upset, it's okay to internalize your feelings, it's okay to express yourself. But the real question is, how are we expressing ourselves? Yes, and I think so many, especially in our community, we shy away from, as soon as somebody says you need to see a therapist or you need help, we think of it as like, oh, I'm crazy, or everybody's against me, or what. No, like, we all have problems. I think just by watching the news alone is traumatizing. We don't even realize how it affects one another. Like, you go on Instagram, you see people getting killed left and right. You know what I mean? It may not be somebody close to you, so it may not personally affect you, but in a way it does. You're seeing it and you're internalizing it and you're not even realizing it. So when you constantly seeing negative comments and you constantly see people tearing down one another, it's hard to spread love through all of that. Because it's easier to spread negativity.
Shay, you're right. You're absolutely right, because that's one of the reasons why I talk about mental health on my channel. Because especially when it comes to us being the black race, we seeing ourselves being killed all the time, being killed by police officers, being killed by one another, and then you have to literally put on a smile and act like you got to go to work 9 to 5 and just try to live a normal life. And how do you live a normal life when you're seeing that You know, like God forbid, it's going to be my time to go.
Right.
You know, but if we don't start loving on one another and realizing the issue, you know, with that, it's like we're going to be numb to the system, just like how the whole world
already are.
Mm-hmm. That needs to change. And I see what you're saying, Shay. Yes, I see it.
Yes.
Anybody have anything to say before I go to the last question?
I do. I just have one last thing to add. The question that you asked, it reminds me of a conversation that I had with, he wasn't an ex, it was just somebody that I dated a couple years ago. And I think it was like in the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. And he was also a cop. He was like a forensic cop. I think he was like the type of person that would come after a crime to take evidence at a crime scene or whatever. And I think he also did like patrol work and stuff like that. But at the time, at the height of the Black Lives Movement, I always wanted to know, like, what did Black cops think about the Black Lives Movement? Like, I wanted to, especially Black men, I wanted to know if they were more so blue than Black or Black than blue. So I don't even remember how we got into the conversation, but he said something that sparked the question. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you think about the Black Lives Matter movement? And he said, I think it's a little shit. He said, I think it's hypocritical, and I think it's a joke. Because he said that basically, how can we be out here fighting for Black Lives Matter when we don't value our own lives because there's so much Black on Black crime. There's so many Black men killing Black men. And I was kind of hurt by it because I was like, well, how does this you're a Black man, basically. You probably have firsthand accounts of Black men being shot by cops. Like, how do you take this stance? I feel like you saying that your life doesn't matter because, you know, there's so much Black on Black crime that Black lives doesn't matter or whatever. So I don't know. In my perspective, I just thought I thought he was desensitized by the things that he saw. Like, of course, he's walking on the street. He sees Black men killing Black men every day. He's at the crime scene. He's collecting the evidence and stuff like that. He even showed me a picture of a crime scene, which I'm sure he wasn't supposed to. But I think he was just desensitized. And
you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Oh, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
Oh, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
And I don't know, I think, and so when I asked him about that, he basically said that we can't fight for police brutality until we stop killing each other. And I just thought that was kind of narrow-minded and sort of like a hateful perspective to have because they're both important causes. And I feel as though we should be fighting for both. We should be fighting for Black Lives Matter. I honestly think that there are separate issues that we should be dealing with separately. We should be fighting for Black Lives Matter. We should be fighting against police brutality, and we should also be fighting against gun violence in our neighborhood and against, these young Black boys killing each other. And I think the way that we fight for Black Lives Matter and police brutality is the way that we've always been fighting. Like, we have our protests, we have this Black Lives Matter movement, we change policies, we change governmental policies and stuff like that. And I also think that the way that we fight against violence and Black on Black crime in the community is we create resources for young Black men. We create programs for them, something else for them to do, resources that they can take part in instead of being on the street. So I don't know, it really is disheartening to me to hear when people say, oh, we can't fight. Because his point was basically, we can't fight for one unless we stop Black on Black crime. And I just don't think that that's the case. I think there are two separate issues, and I think that there's different ways that we go about fighting for each.
Yeah, that is crazy though for him, and it's so crazy because again, it's like that slave mentality, like it's just in rooted in him to even say, oh well, for you to be a black man and you feel like, first of all, I'm sorry, ain't no such thing as blue lives, okay? Blue lives is something that's made up. Black lives is a real issue because it is actually human beings who are black that's dying. Blue lives is just a uniform you take off, put on, but once you take off that uniform, you're just a black man in the street. And I think that's the part that he doesn't understand. You know, that's the part that he doesn't understand. That's the part that it's like that brainwash, because he's trying to say that the system works. And again, he's trying to say that. That's why I say I don't agree with some of our amendments in this country. Because if that don't change, you guys know that it's, we're not going to go into politics, but I'm just saying that, like, it haven't changed. We're still not fully human in the amendment, if y'all know that.
I've heard
the Jim Crow law is still there. It's just a lot of gray areas. And that's the way the system works. That's why when these blue lives, cops that take out black people, they're not really hold accountability because okay, but it's set up in a way that we're not fully human. And if that don't change, and I know that's hard because our Constitution is like the Bible of this country, but the ones that wrote the law, they were racist. And that's how it just flowed, and it haven't changed. But here it is that our politicians want to say, we love each other. We care. It's just a phase. It doesn't matter. We see how the system works. We see how they treat us. And for him to have that mindset, that's how most, I don't want to say most, but that's how some of these cops think. That's why it's okay for them to go in our community and destroy it and kill us and get away with it. If it wasn't for cell phones, if it wasn't for the situation that happened with George Floyd, is normal. Now they're holding them accountable. But it's still a lot of them that's not being charged. But now they're trying to, because the people, the Black Lives Matter speaking. Now because they're speaking up and we're fighting against injustice, now they're trying to hold them accountable. But these police officers, they could go, they've been doing this since back in the day. These kill black people, just a number. They're not really fully human. It doesn't matter. Let's keep it going. So now it's just like, it's crazy to me. But I'm sorry, Jasmine. Like, I can't even believe that. I remember you telling me that for him to have that slave mentality of thinking that that's okay is not okay. It's very hurtful.
It's definitely hurtful. And just to add one thing, I think, and not to say that we shouldn't be held accountable, because at the end of the day, yeah, if I have a child, if I have a black boy, I'm going to make sure that I teach that black boy how to not be, a statistic, how to not be like what they expect us to be. So I definitely do think we should still hold each other accountable. But in this situation, when I talk to him, like when I tell you that I was disheartened and I was so sad to see that this black man doesn't even know his roots, I just think that stems from a miseducation. I think black people, this entire country has been miseducated. Like, we've been taught to believe that everything that we go through is our fault. Yeah. Everything, we've been taught to believe that, welfare is our fault. The ghetto is our fault. It's because we didn't try hard enough. No, it's not our fault. It's because there was an invisible hand the entire time forcing us into a certain area. It's government policies, redlining that forced us into a certain area and took out those resources and created the ghetto. So at the same time, we do need to hold each other accountable, but we also need to learn our history. We need to learn how we got here, and we also need to learn how to have a little bit more compassion for each other, because at the end of the day, we're actually victims. And I know black people, tough. We're taught to be tough. We're taught to be, this whole bully culture, came out of crime, out of survival, and out of being taught to be tough or whatever. But at the end of the day, we were victimized. Everything was taken from us, and we were forced in certain areas, and resources were taken out of those areas, and that created the ghettos, and that created crimes of survival. So yes, we'll be further accountable, but we also need to learn our history and have more compassion for each other, because we didn't get here by ourselves. This is our doing. Our ancestors, we tried everything that we could after slavery was abolished. We tried everything that we could to build something for ourselves, but we had everything held against us. Like, there was always this invisible hand that said, no, you're not allowed to have these things because you're not worthy enough. So I just think we just need to have a little bit more compassion for each other.
Absolutely. And Shay said it too. We have to love one another. So that you guys are hitting the points. That's definitely true. All right, I'm gonna go to the last question. But y'all did so good. Okay, the last question.
Something to say, Lamar?
Oh, okay.
I wanted to, talk about.
We can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying, as far as when you guys were talking about the police and black communities and stuff, I was saying that honestly, it starts, like, a lot of it is with them. And I think it's because they have the wrong police, like, policing our communities. Like, if a white officer that never grew up in North Philadelphia, the first place that he's policing is, 15th and Berks. It looks like a war zone down there, a white police officer. So, Philadelphia has more yearly killings than Iraq. So if you put a white officer that never grew up in Philadelphia to police us, he's terrified. So everything, his emotions, everything is elevated. I'm not saying it as an excuse. I'm saying it as they need to put the right officers in the right communities, and not as many black men would, fall victim to their crimes. Because ultimately, them killing us is still a crime, no matter how you, no matter how you rap it, it's still wrong. But I'm just saying, like, if they put more black people, more black cops in our communities, I think we could start to trust a little bit more, start to build a relationship. If the cops, I remember growing up, we had the POW Center, police athletic leagues and stuff like that.
Yes.
We have our kids build relationships with the police officers, because they're humans too. Because at the end of the day, yes, some of them do make choices and mistakes that we're like, very suspicious. But I feel like if we were to build that community with them again, white, black, Puerto Rican, whatever their ethnicity is, then the connection and the relationship with the black community and cops would be a whole lot better. But that was it.
That's a good point, Lamar. We need the right officers, not the scary cat ones, the one that's like trigger happy.
But also, I do want to say this about some of the black officers. A lot of them be coons. I hate to say it, but a lot of them be coons.
Say that.
I really hate to say it, but a lot of these black officers be coons, because I will see a black officer going for a black man. More do I see a fucking white oh Lord. When did I see a white officer? And then it's because it's like, oh, we the same color, bro. Like, I'ma fool you. What's up? Like it's more so like neck to neck. Like, yeah, I'm black like you, but I'm a cop, so I could do this.
Blue lives,
I feel like a lot of black officers, they really lost touch with the original reason they became policemen, because I felt like y'all could help us more if y'all didn't have the mindset that y'all as your superiors, or as your other coworkers. I think they work a lot too much with these other white officers, and they just convince them like, oh no, when we get here, that's what we gonna do. We trying to make a quota. When we get here, we locking all these guys up, or so. But I do agree with engaging with these police officers, because not all are bad, So, like somebody else said, they took a lot of the resources out of the communities. Like, there used to be a lot more rec centers. There used to be, art programs. Like, when I was coming up, before I even went to Creative and Performing Arts High School, I was in pre-programs for like people in foster homes, because I needed other places to go. So they had rec centers, art centers, and places at colleges that were offering classes for less fortunate kids. I feel like we don't have a lot of those resources but I also started to come up with like community resource plans. And if you guys are interested, I'll send them to you.
Okay.
I sent it to Crystal already before when I was working on it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the last one, but yeah, it's like we just need better. I feel like it's not even just the officer; the system is corrupt. It starts from the top, and if our
we need meditation classes and self-love classes.
Yeah, our system
therapy, affordable counseling, easy.
But before any of that, it starts from the top. We're talking about our leaders. Our leaders are not doing what they're supposed to. If they're doing what they're supposed to, we won't have a civil war that's going on. So it starts from the top. And who give authority, who give instruction to the bottom? See, now I'm talking about politics. Y'all got to get into politics.
Here's the thing. The authority, the politicians are doing what they're supposed to.
Well,
they stepping on us. They stepping on us to get above.
Exactly. That's what it was meant to be. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to.
This is what I'm talking about. The politicians say one thing but do another thing, because it's a lot of dirty ground. Because if that's the case, then why are there drugs in our neighborhood? If that's the case, then why are there guns in our neighborhood? It's all about money. So if the politicians are doing what they're supposed to do, then it will not trigger down to where it is. Because if you go to the suburban area, there's a lot of drug in that area. But is there a lot of cops in that area? No. Why is there cops in our neighborhood?
Because that's what it was designed to do. That's why they're doing what they're supposed to do.
That's why I say it starts from the top. They're not doing
dismantle all of it.
If they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do, we won't have a civil war going on. It won't be so many black people dying as much as they're doing now. But that's why I say it starts from the top. And that's why don't when you go vote, don't just vote for the president, because the president ain't gonna help you out. Okay?
Yeah, the president is just a puppet.
You gotta vote for the House of Representatives,
the Senate and the House.
Who the judges, and if you don't know these things, then you don't know. And that's why I feel like with our community, we have to educate ourselves, because who is really running our community? Who is really running? And that's where the education comes from. That's where us learning and understanding, because there's a lot of things that we can't get out of our neighborhood if we know the right people who's actually running our neighborhood. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go to the last question, and the last question is: I said, how do you guys feel about this topic, and was it therapy to you guys to share each other ideas? And can anybody explain to me, how do you feel about this topic? Did it help? Do you feel like you relieved a lot of stress? Did you learn a lot?
Hello everyone. I was quiet the whole segment. Please forgive me, but I have learned so much. And just listening and having a more clear perspective. But this topic is very heavy because we live it, especially with me being a mother of 4, in a North Philly neighborhood. It's very heavy because it's just not, there's so many complexities to this problem, and it would not just happen overnight, because yes, people within our neighborhood have different perspectives on the life that they're living. So by us not being on the same wavelength of getting together, being more like a community in a neighborhood where we're looking out for each other, where we are uplifting one another, is so hard. It's like when I go to my house, I'm going straight in my door. I got a security camera on my front door, my back door, because I don't feel safe in my own neighborhood. And even then, it's just like, how can we really combat it if we're not willing to come together to look at the bigger picture? And that's where we're always going to be at fault for. And that's where the desensitized come in at too, because we fighting for our lives in here. So we get desensitized to the 23-year-old that got shot around the corner, or the 14-year-old that got shot while coming home from school. We get so desensitized because we try to live every day and survive from it. And that's where we go back from that poverty mindset towards as though we feel like we can't get no damn help. We feel helpless. And then that does trickle down with the mental illness, and it also contributes to our trauma to the point where we're not looking for help because we got desensitized to it, to a point where this is what we live and this is what it's going to be, even though we still talk about it. And just like we know for a fact, like, this is such a good conversation, but we talking around in circles, because until we get people that are willing to make those adequate sacrifices to want better for their neighbor next door, or for the families that live in the community, we will never get where we need to be. We will never get where we need to be. We need to get rid of the no snitching, but at the same token, is no protection for the people that speak up. Because once we see somebody get shot and killed, and we did know them, we knew who that son was, who that person was, the son of so and so, but we so afraid for our own lives, we just know it's just another life that was taken too young. So it's just like this conversation is very much well needed, but we really do need solutions. We need to know what we need to do far as getting into getting into the councilmen, getting into the community, seeing what we actually can do. But it really means that we need numbers. We need numbers of people to be willing to say the same things and be willing to do the same, not the same exact things, but be willing to contribute what is needed within our communities, men, women, and children. Like, we need better, but it's going to be hard too, because a lot of us have been desensitized. So I understood what I think the young lady, when the woman, Ms. Jasmine, said about the police officer saying that, Black Lives Matter don't mean shit, because he got desensitized. Yeah. So it's just things that we have to be honest about, be accountable for, and I don't know. It's just, I feel hopeless. Like, I really do feel hopeless, because it's like now everybody's trying to, scram and trying to move out of Philly. But once again, right, you ain't got the resources to. It's like crabs in a barrel. Like, you do what you gotta do, and you stay in your own lane. And whatever change we can make, we can. But it's going to take a lot. It's because it took a lot for us to get here. So it's going to take a lot for us to even get out of this predicament. And we might not even see it in our lifetime.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah. I want to say something. I think this group was helpful. I think that a lot of people have different perspectives, and sometimes we can get lost and shift focus. But if we can hear each other and get to the root of the issue, because everybody's not going to see everything eye to eye. And I think that's the problem with a lot of our community. We can't get on the same, or get on code, or what is code? Because code is something different to me and you know what I mean? But I just wanted to say that, because everybody's had a different perspective. But I think to really resolve the issue, just understand people's others' perspective, because I have to do that. Like, I'm a social work background, so I have to understand the client, where they're coming from. They may not talk the way I talk, but I have to get to the core of what they're trying to say, and then I can work with them on their level, because everybody's not going to be able to get up to a certain level, education, background, studying. We can't ask that of everybody. Everybody doesn't have the capacity. But if we get to the heart of the issue, I think a lot of things can be addressed. I know somebody said we don't have the resources. You can reach people with poetry. You can reach people with entrepreneurship. There's a lot of ways we can reach people. But my last thing I'm going to say is they got to be covert, because every time we do something, we get infiltrated.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, yep, go ahead. You said, because earlier Zabeda said about building our own lands and farm. The move movement in '85, when they did that, we said, we ain't rocking with y'all. We gonna teach our own kids. We gonna grow our own crops. We gonna have our own names. And they dropped bombs on us every time it's happened, what I think we need to do, we do need to do that again, because it's happened again. Lake Lanier, Tulsa, it's happened time and time again. What I think we need to do is educate, rally up, and no, we all don't have the resources and the sacrifices, but let's just say we took these 12 group of people right here. Everybody got a gift and a talent for something. If we all came collectively and not told no damn body, move in silence, because they waiting to drop. They waiting for us to drop the low. No, let's go in silence and build our own stuff quietly and mind our business. They hate it when we're in numbers. They hate that.
So, and that's what we gotta do. We gotta build our numbers up, and then we gotta create our plan and our goal. As we're building our numbers up, and as we're building our numbers up, we need to have our plan and our goal. You get what I'm saying? Essentially, maybe the plan might be, let's figure out how we're gonna get this plot of land. Let's figure out how we're gonna create our own system. We're gonna create our own laws. A lot of this comes from leading by example. So if we want these things, we gotta create it for ourselves. Yes, it's been done before. Yes, they've bombed them. But yes, it's also big now. Police can't just come in and do anything because social media and everything is so big. So we do got some kind of win with that. So it's all about building our numbers up, creating a plan, and setting and reaching our goals. It's not easy. Like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day. We was enslaved for 300 years. Technically, we still enslaved. So it's a process. Like the other person said, we might not see it in this lifetime, but let's start to work towards something. Yeah. It's all these people like this that all feel the same way. I'm pretty sure we can find 12 more people that feel the same way. And then I'm pretty sure we can find 12 more people. And then I'm pretty sure that maybe somebody could take out a loan, and maybe we could get this, and maybe we could get that. This is wishful thinking, but I'm saying we could go real far.
It's possible.
Yeah. We can go real far.
It is possible. I just want to say, oh my goodness, this is good.
This was the one. This was the one. I think this is the longest we ever been on. Yes, this was the one, ladies.
It's going on
and gentlemen.
Oh my God, it's almost 8 o'clock.
But
yes, y'all, we've been on for like 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah. I just want to say that thank you guys all, and this was definitely great, and that's why me, Zabeda, Crystal, and Charlie, we open up this safe place that we can just talk, be ourselves, and really drop down some of these big issues in our community. And I just want to say I thank you guys for this. I really had a good time, and I learned a lot. And then we're going to keep this going because there's some smart people on here, and I love y'all for